This is Bun.Image, a built-in image processing API shipped with Bun 1.3.14 that can resize, crop, and convert images between different formats with zero native dependencies, and the whole thing runs off the main thread, meaning it won't block your server while it's processing. But Bun is already a runtime, a package manager, a bundler, a test runner, and now it's an image processor? Is that all way too much? Or is it telling us something bigger about where Bun is heading? Hit subscribe and let's find out. If you've ever processed images on the server with JavaScript, you may have used a library called Sharp without even knowing, which has more than 55 million downloads on NPM a week, and is even used by Next.js under the hood for image optimization. But Sharp relies on a native binary called libvips, which means every install has to pull the right build for your platform. And if you've ever had a Docker build or CI pipeline fail because of it, you know just how frustrating this is. So Bun decided to just build image processing into the runtime itself, and it's actually faster than Sharp in most benchmarks. Metadata reads are 70 times faster, and resizing is about 30% faster. Now, a lot of developers are really confused as to why Bun added this, but I kind of see where this is all going, and I'll tell you a bit about that later. But for now, let's go through a few demos of how to use the Bun.Image API, and we're going to try it on my blog, which is a static Wacom site, which has some huge images. To start things off, let's go through a simple script that optimizes one image, which is the profile picture with my face, and it's able to reduce the size by 99%, which is insane. Let's see how. First, we get the image, and note we're using Bun.Image here, but you could also do Bun file with the image function. Then we resize the image to reduce its size, giving it a width of 800 pixels, and the height is automatically calculated based on the aspect ratio, but if you wanted to, we could add that here as well. We then give it an output format of WebP with reduced quality. Of course, other output formats are supported, and then we output the new image to a file, which is a promise, and so requires the await keyword. And you can see just how simple this is. In fact, all of this code here is unnecessary, so we could remove it and make the code even simpler. We could also set a resize filter, changing the resampling kernel, further reducing the image size. We could rotate or flip the image, and this is really cool. We could even change the brightness or saturation, which could lead to some weird looking images. But there is something really clever you can do when it comes to slow connections, which is to use the placeholder function to automatically show a blurry image while the main image is loading in. And to do that, I have this for loop that is going through every single file that contains these extensions inside the directory that contains all the blog images. So each image is being resized, scaled down without being cropped, and not being upscaled. Then we create a placeholder for each image, which creates a thumb hash, meaning it encodes any image into a 28-byte hash, perfect as a blurry image placeholder. This hash is being added to a placeholders object, and then it's been written to a file, which looks like this. Now, the reason the placeholder is a base 64 image instead of a separate smaller WebP image is so that the network doesn't have to make a request to fetch it. So what I could do is import all the placeholders and add them as a background image in CSS while waiting for the main image to load in, which will work for every image on my blog. But if you wanted to do that for a single image in an MDX file, you could just add the base 64 code in manually, which works just as well. Note, you can also get a similar behavior using JPEG images by setting progressive to true. Of course, there are so many other things Bun.Image supports that I haven't yet gone through, like being able to get images from an S3 compatible bucket, or writing images to a bucket, using the image pipeline as a valid response body, and configuring a fallback format if a specific OS doesn't support one. So is this worth using? Well, if you're on Bun already, then yeah, this is a no-brainer. But if you're using Node, then Sharp works really well and is battle tested, and there's no need to change to a completely different runtime just for image processing. Remember when I said there's a bigger reason that Bun added this? Well, if you look at what Bun's been doing over the last year, built in SQLite, S3, Postgres, and now images, and that's basically everything you need for a full stack app, except for maybe auth and email. But this makes me wonder, is Bun trying to build the Laravel or Rails for JavaScript, but at the runtime level? If they are, then the next thing they're going to work on is auth. And if it is, remember, you heard it here first. But unfortunately, nowadays, you can't talk about Bun without mentioning the huge Zig to Rust rewrite, which, fingers crossed, will be coming out in the next version. Let's hope it all goes well. Speaking of Zig, if you want to learn more about Vercel's language 0 that looks like Zig but isn't Zig and is built for AI agents, check out this video from James.